For some, the most exciting part of creating an original character is who they're going to make them smush faces with. It may be another character of theirs, or a character from somewhere else like a TV show or a game. It's cathartic, and gives us a chance to play out our fantasies. When we're creating for ourselves, our audience can be easily pleased. 'Cause you know, you're the audience. But when we're making a story to be enjoyed by others, it can be difficult to stage romantic relationships that are realistic and don't make your personal preferences obvious enough to the point that it ruins the narrative. We want our audience to feel like they're part of the journey too. Anyone who's ever created original characters has probably faced this issue at least once, including me. Please, kill me. I like to make a challenge out of creating unconventional relationships, but it is a pretty thin line to walk. If the audience can't get behind it for one reason or another, they won't be happy with parts of the story that revolve around it, and if that's most of the story, they might actively avoid your work altogether. So, how do we create compelling relationships that are realistic but fulfill the purpose we want to give them? In this video, I will cover 3 topics that'll hopefully help you figure out this conundrum: matchmaking for your character, finding the angle of their relationship, and how their relationship will conclude. Depending on how you'd like to tailor-fit the process of figuring this all out, you may want to find the angle of the kind of relationship you want your character to have before picking out another character to pair them with, but we usually already have in mind who that is. So let's start here. Who will they be dating or infatuated with? If you're creating a relationship between characters that are both yours, you'll be able to easily mold their personalities to fit what kind of outcome you want for their relationship, providing you care more about what the relationship is rather than who they are. If you don't have a specific goal for their relationship in mind, you can decide how it'll play out based upon what is likely considering their personalities and situation. If you're creating a relationship between your original character and someone else's character, like a character from a mainstream show or something, whoa Nelly, good luck to you. Not only do you have to figure out what kind of person that character would be compatible with, but you'll also have a lot of fanboys and fangirls judging how appropriately you're using that character. And I am one of those people. If you have to bend their personality into something dishonest to their established character in order to make their relationship with your OC work out, people aren't going to be very pleased. You may have to change your OC a bit so that the relationship can pan out how you want it to, or find a workaround that can both keep true to the original vision of that mainstream character and provide a relationship between them that you're satisfied with. Find their strengths and weaknesses as a couple. There's a few ways you can do this, but here's my suggestion. Make a few Venn diagrams displaying their likes, dislikes, similarities in lifestyle, what they're attracted to, goals, etc. This should help you figure out their compatibility and find any glaring contradictions that'll set the tone of their relationship. If character A's goal is to kill the Pope, and character B's goal is to protect him, then that's an obvious contradiction in motives, and would most likely add too much conflict to their romance to make it viable. How did they meet? How they both made it to this very moment can be quite important. Why were they at the same place at the same time? What first impression did they give each other? How will they meet again so that their relationship continues to grow? It's not really considered in good taste for characters to fall into everlasting love when they hardly know each other. It worked for fairy tales made back in ye olden day, but that kind of romance doesn't fly very well anymore because it lacks substance and the audience has no reason to be invested in the affairs of a relationship that happened for no reason. Then again, that sort of plot could work out for an amusing parody. What is it on a basic level? Is it one-sided, like one person is pining over the other from a distance? Is it unrequited? One person has rejected the other's invitation of love. Are their feelings mutual? Is neither person sure how they feel, but they're dating each other anyways? Are they dating each other not because they want to, but because they're being forced to? Or perhaps are using each other for something? Once you decide this, it'll be easier to add layers and nuances because you'll always have this basic premise guiding you. How do they perceive their relationship? Sometimes when we're looking through those rose-tinted glasses of our powerful feelings of love, we may excuse or simply not notice obvious flaws in our relationship. Certain people may believe their relationship is normal, even healthy, but the reality is that it isn't. The relationship is actually abusive, or perhaps they aren't happy, but they're codependent on each other and neither want to make the first move to break up, making the relationship toxic. On the opposite end of the spectrum, maybe one person is always making out the relationships to be worse than they actually are. The grass is always greener on the other side for them. They keep straying from relatively good relationships because they're trying to find a perfect one that doesn't exist. Or they could be afraid of commitment. Or they're stuck in a cycle of abuse and subconsciously avoid happy relationships because that's not the treatment they're familiar with. Of course, there's also lovers who see things for how they are, good or bad. They're rather mature and look at their relationship realistically. They tend to be the kind of people who are able to get a relationship to work out. How do other people perceive their relationship? A relationship may just look exactly how it is. Good, bad, complicated. But that isn't always the case. Outwardly, someone's relationship may look pretty good, but it actually isn't once you peel back the layers of it, either because they're holding up a facade for one reason or another, or simply because the intimate details of their struggle don't show through in normal conversations. Alternatively, maybe others perceive the relationship as bad, but it actually is rather average, or maybe even good. The best example I can give is this. Person A and B are together. Person C is infatuated with Person A. Now, Person C often sees themselves as a good person, and recognizes that destroying Person A's relationship is not a good thing to do. But if they convince themselves that Person A is in an abusive relationship, that gives Person C the excuse they need to break up Person A and Person B, leaving Person A single, grateful for Person C's actions, and Person C gets to look like a hero. Is their relationship overall good or bad? So what do your answers look like at this point? Perhaps their relationship still falls into a gray area that leaves you uncertain, but hopefully that isn't the case and you have an idea whether the good outweighs the bad or vice versa. If it's still too gray for you, try adding something to their relationship that tips the scale. Or maybe it's actually your goal to make the condition of their relationship ambiguous. Though I wouldn't suggest doing that without going out of your way to make a point about it. Otherwise, attempts at ambiguity may seem like you were unsure of what direction to take the relationship of those characters. It'll be dissatisfying to viewers who want a more obvious relationship they can embrace or reject. Will it evolve, devolve, or stay moderately the same? Often, the main character will have turbulent relationships that change over time. That creates friction and usually a more interesting narrative, especially if you're creating a story centered around the main character's romantic life. Sometimes, though, stability is comforting to the audience and too much turbulence wears them out. A couple who withstands the test of time and has a generally good relationship leaves us feeling hopeful. Usually you'll find this sort of relationship with side characters, like Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother. It's not that their relationship never had problems, or didn't evolve in some way, but it basically stayed the same from the beginning to the end. They loved each other, were together most of the time, and stayed together. Figuring out the answer to this and the other questions above will help you flesh out the details of how your characters will make it from the beginning of the relationship to its conclusion. Just to note, even if your character becomes or remains miserable with their partner, that doesn't mean they necessarily have to break up. Maybe you'll want to take this opportunity to emphasize on the unfortunate truth that some people never move on and remain in toxic circumstances for the rest of their lives. You know, if you want to be bleak and all that. What have they learned? Even if their romance doesn't crumble or turn into something completely different, what will your characters have learned through this experience? A better understanding and appreciation for what they have? The realization that they're better off apart than together? Or maybe the whole crux of their story is that they learned nothing in the end. What do you want your audience to get out of this journey? Creating compelling and realistic relationships for your characters can almost be as hard as figuring out your own. In fact, through your characters, you may give yourself some insight as to what your own relationships are currently like and what you're looking for in one that'll work for you. Better to experiment on your helpless OCs rather than yourself, right? Whatever you're looking for, I hope you find it. Even if you're not spending today with anyone special, you're at least spending it with me, I guess. And I'd like to think you could do worse. So, happy Valentine's Day. If you liked this video, please show your support. Have a good one, everyone, and be sure to show each other some love in the comments. We'll see you next time. Bye!